into the room because y'all just two tears.
No.
I mean, that's what I'm here for.
I nearly said it out.
I want to see coffee sweets. Can you just remove your cocoa my head?
10 years ago, I was old.
You're old enough
Yes.
to see what happened.
I do not remember, but I remember that conversation.
Absolutely.
I really do not remember what happened, but I remember like something happened, we went to school, and then everybody was talking about it, and then that was how I got to know. And my school every morning, so that was how we got to know.
What school was that?
Light Academy at Denta.
Hey, my basso. So I remember very well some of the pictures and the swoop of it. Like I literally can I could see it right now. Last week we saw a video of a young man on social media, and he happens to be one of the victims of the fire at Seko as a result of the flood and all that happened on the 3rd of June. And immediately I saw the gentleman. I was like, have we prepared ourselves enough? So this conversation was supposed to be had from the beginning of the year, especially when we realized that...
Should it even die out? It shouldn't be like at the beginning of the year. Like it should be like a conversation we have round the clock.
And so for me, right, I'm just praying that we don't have that amount of, downpour soon. But if that happens, and, quite honestly, we have no control over whether or not the rain is heavy and it's flooding places. If that happens, are we ready? And that's the question everybody is asking. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Are we ready? Have we really, really learned? And I like the question you asked. Have we really learned from what happened to us? Or we just went back to sleep? What
was your question again?
Like, have we learned? Are we prepared?
Are you asking me?
No, like
no, ask me.
Okay, right. So have you learned? No. Have we learned as a country?
No.
Why no?
Why did you say that?
Total no.
Okay.
Why no?
Please let us know.
Because even the one that you also faced,
right?
Let's just say, and we are just thankful that there was no even filling station around. It could have been a disaster.
Right.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
It could have been a disaster. So I think what we should be looking at is, because anytime we pose this question, we pretend as if we don't know the answer, but we do know the answer. So what measures are we putting in place? And it's not just that we're asking what measures are we putting in place. The enforcement of it happening is what we should be looking at now.
Right.
Because I feel if demonstrations are anything to go by in this country, then we as citizens, then we must even go and demonstrate again on this. Because it looks like one government comes in, because I was watching a documentary, and then the documentary brought in when that happened, who was in government at that particular time, and what the president did say on that. And then a new government comes in, and then promises certain things.
So there's no continuity.
And there was nothing that happened. Now we do have another government again. So my question here is, what enforcement are we putting in place? As to it being a physical...
like an approach physically?
Yes, an approach which has to do with physicality, which we spoke about this task force coming in and everything, looking forward to people who are throwing rubbish and, choking our gutters in one way or the other. What is the punishment being meted to these people? All these things, we're not looking at it.
Right.
On the infrastructure, are we looking at making sure that we are expanding our gutters and looking forward to the canal system than just mere gutters?
Right.
What are we doing towards that? So all these things come into play, and then that of climate change too as well. As for that one, dear, I just feel like is divinity.
Right.
And also, what are we doing towards that? Well, because that one we cannot leave that one to chance.
Also note that as far back as 5 years ago, some people saw this coming. And note that, like we're saying here, it's not just Ghana. Nigeria experienced this a couple of days ago. And so a lot of people...
700 people are dead in Nigeria.
A lot of people were talking about this climate change thing as far back as 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. and we didn't pay attention. So if we want to talk about it being divine, I want to disagree, because we as humans have contributed to the climate change. Yeah. Some young people saw the impact of this very long time ago, flew. In fact, we're on sea for hours just campaigning against, the human efforts that are contributing to climate change, and we didn't pay attention. People like Donald Trump said that it was hoax. So I'm telling you, it's not a Ghanaian issue. Neither is it an African issue. But also, as Ghana, are we also waiting to record numbers like Nigeria is doing now?
That's a neighbor country. That's a neighbor country. 700 people have died.
And then these are people who have been identified. So you can imagine those who have not yet been identified.
And even our case, right?
Yeah.
June said the 300 that came out, the 200 that came out, were those who were identified. Days after, when the water had drained, they found bodies that were not accounted for.
Yeah. So it was like they were saying, 150 people. And it was more than that.
More than that.
It was more than that. So what are we doing?
Interesting. But
now, in 2017, in Parliament, a conversation was raised, and I was just looking it up until we're going to be doing it when we're getting into our conversation. But some people have also come out, and I keep staying on this bit where people have predicted these, disasters, especially the one in 2015. And so when we went back in Parliament in 2017, this conversation was brought on the floor, and we're asking the work of NADMO. Because now we're looking at NADMO being
more or less like a rescue
team than a team that is putting together structures or a system that helps us avoid these things from happening at all.
Right.
And so I think where we are is that we all know that we know what to do, and we're just not doing it.
Right.
And it was happening to Kofi in 2015. When it gets to your doorsteps, you could feel the pain. And then maybe, that's when people would, make up their mind to make moves that matters. But our little ways were contributing to the climate change and to these floodings. Just stop. Those who are throwing rubbish around, stop.
Right.
Makes no sense what we do. Like sometimes you think about it and you're like, Well, let's get into our stories.
Let's get into our stories for this morning and start off with the Office of the Special Prosecutor, as he has once again declared former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta a wanted person effective yesterday, June 2nd, 2025. Now, this decision follows his failure to appear in person at the OSP's headquarters yesterday by the stipulated deadline, that was June 2nd, 2025, violating an earlier agreement that saw his temporary removal from the wanted list. Now, the OSP requires the former Finance Minister for questioning regarding issues relating to his involvement in contracts with the Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, commonly known as SML, for revenue assurances, issues surrounding the National Cathedral project that was started by the ex-Royal government, and other financial dealings during his tenure as Finance Minister from 2017 to the year 2024. Now, the OSP engaged the media. Here are highlights from his engagement with the media.
To attend the OSP today. Mr. Ofori-Atta's conduct is totally unacceptable and a baleful spite at law enforcement and criminal investigations. It ends here. It ends today. We will no longer accommodate him. Consequently, the OSP redeclares that Mr. Ofori-Atta is a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. His name is hereby re-entered on the OSP's list of wanted persons. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and to answer to the criminal inquiries against him. In pursuance of this, about 30 minutes before this briefing, I triggered processes for the issuance of an Interpol red notice for the location and provisional arrest of Mr. Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta in whichever jurisdiction pending extradition or his surrender. Around the same time, I dispatched a request for extradition processes to be instituted for the provisional apprehension in any jurisdiction in which Mr. Ofori-Atta may be located or found, and his extradition to the Republic of Ghana. The OSP will prefer criminal charges in the courts against Mr. Ofori-Atta in due course, whether in absentia or otherwise. The principle.
There you have it. We entered into the wanted list. But on your screens currently is the 5 cases that the OSP has brought before the finance minister. We have the GRA SML deal. We have the ECG Beijing contract, the National Cathedral project, out of use tax, and then one district, one ambulance initiative. These are the basis for which the OSP, Kisie Jabeng, is inviting the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to his headquarters or to his office for more or less like questioning. But now, the OSP put out a statement yesterday on its social media pages. Let's walk you through the details of that statement, and then we would have a conversation with Bright Ofori. So it says, wanted by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, name Kenneth Nana Ya Ofori-Atta. Description, he has a date of birth as 7th November 1958. The age is 66. Gender, male, eye color, black, hair color, black. Distinguishing marks, none identified. Complexion, brown skin. Now, this is where people are found problematic. Possible locations: the United States, the United Kingdom, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, and the Cayman Islands. This suspect is wanted to answer charges in respect of several cases, including strategic mobilization, GRA contract, termination of ECG BXC contracts, National Cathedral payments, ambulance procurement contract, and tax reform refund account utilization. Any information on the whereabouts of this individual should alert the office by calling or sending WhatsApp messages to the number stated below. And these are coming in from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, joining us this morning for a conversation is the Executive Director of the Bright Future Alliance, Bright Ofori. Bright, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the AM Club. From where you sit, what do you make of the re-entered wanted list or re-entered name of Ken Ofori-Atta by the OSP in this whole controversy or this whole conversation?
Hi, good morning. And it's just unfortunate the case has gotten to this level. Knowing who Mr. Ofori-Atta is and then how he's conducted himself as a public official over the years, and then his demeanor and then the way he reads the Bible and everything, it shows that he's a person that is calm and gentle. So I wasn't expecting the matter to get to this level, to the extent the OSP is issuing a red notice alert and even asking for him to be extradited back to Ghana. That is just unfortunate. Nevertheless, the OSP is also a statutory body that has been granted a mandate and the powers to carry out its mandate. Most Ghanaians are even saying the office is not performing. So if there is a case that the OSP is running or has keen interest in, we all should support him and ensure he gets that thing done. Again, the case has been prolonged, or it started way back in January 2025, as you mentioned earlier, where the OSP named him as a suspect and then summoned him on 10th February to show up and then just to answer certain questions. He never availed himself. His lawyers said he's abroad somewhere on 31st January. February, OSP demands he returns or face legal consequences. He didn't respond to it. He didn't confirm when he is coming. On the February 12th, they declared him fugitive from justice. And then Mr. Ofori-Atta appealed and told him that he would show up on the 8th February to answer questions. Ofori-Atta later, secretly or nicodemously, rushed to the court to see the OSP. Someone that he told that he will be coming back to answer questions. So he should give you some time and then you'll be back. And that, for that matter, your name should be removed or expand from the list of wanted people from the OSP's office. With all this, the OSP gave you, it gave ears to you and then accepted to listen to you. But you rather go to the court and then sue the OSP and then the special prosecutor himself, asking that his name should be removed. Nevertheless, on 28th June again, on 28th May, few days to the deadline that Mr. Ofori-Atta gave himself that he'll be showing up to the office, he gave that from 2nd June to 30th May, he will show up at the office. And then on 28th May, Mr. Ofori-Atta now sent a notice to his lawyers that he is sick and he cannot show up. So between that 28th and then just one day to the day for you to come back to Ghana to answer those questions, you didn't deem it necessary or fit to even communicate to the OSP. So it clearly shows that the man is not ready to show up or make himself available to go through all these processes. Again, let's remind ourselves that our former president was was subjected to investigation and went through all these processes. So Mr. Ofori-Atta isn't the first person to be invited to answer questions and to be taken through all these processes. So it's unfortunate that Mr. Ofori-Atta hasn't availed himself, and the OSP has now gone ahead to issue a red notice letter and then asking for him to be extradited back to the country. It's just an unfortunate incident. Nevertheless, the OSP is doing its work, so let's support it.
Right. Now, we know that from this same press briefing that the OSP gave yesterday, we have an update with regards to his health condition. We know he has cancer. That's what the OSP says. Now, we know that he also asked for a virtual hearing, and this is in line with the Electronic Transactions Act here in the country. Now, could the OSP not have considered the fact that he was, from what we know now, that he has cancer and would not be able to come into the country, and the fact that he has surgery on the 13th of June 2025, giving that timeline as well, and the possibility of him not being able to travel, could the OSP not have considered the virtual hearing or questioning?
Okay, as I clearly stated, I give a backdrop or a timeline as to how things have unfolded.
Right.
From the outset, the person seemed not to be willing to cooperate with their body. So if someone doesn't seem ready to accommodate you or probably, obey you or tell you when they will be coming, then you do not, first of all, you do not even entertain them further. From January till now, you've not showed up, you've not done anything. So if the person, the OSP cannot entertain you further. Secondly, it is believed that he has cancer. Cancer, as we know, it's not death. There are a lot of people walking around with cancer or with cancerous disease around. The mere fact you have cancer doesn't mean you are dead, or to the extent that you are unable to move.
Right.
Yes, there are a lot of people who have cancer. So if you have cancer, which part of the body do you have the cancer? The cancer of the breast, cancer of the blood, whatever it is, it's not anything that you cannot meet prosecutors or meet the state authorities to help or assist with the investigation. Lastly, if you have the cancer indeed, and then with medical practices or hospital administrators, the first thing to do is to send an official notice to whoever is being invited or whoever is inviting you to show up. So if indeed he cannot move, or he is so weak, he is so ill to the extent that he cannot move, a letter should be addressed to the state body or to the OSP's office, communicating officially that because of A and B and C, this patient of mine.
And Brian, not to catch you, but would that not have been the statement we saw from the lawyers on the 28th, where he says that he will not be able to meet the June 2nd deadline, therefore he was asking for a virtual hearing? Would that not be the communication of the sort to the OSP, stating his inability to return to the country on June 2nd?
No, he said that the doctor says the document they presented was like a lab test. It wasn't an official letter communicating to the doctor, to the OSP, that he can't even move. He cannot communicate to it. It was just a lab result. But that confirms a particular sickness.
So it wasn't detailed in your opinion?
It wasn't detailed. And then
Right.
it's no use, if I'm sick indeed and I'm requesting for permission from my workplace, I do not go there and send a lab result and say, doctor, please, I'm sick, so I cannot come to work. No, there should be a proper letter from the doctor communicating to my employer that because of A and B and C, from this day to this day, I wouldn't be able to show up to work. That is what is done.
Right.
Also, let's note that illness is not a shield from accountability. So far as you are sick, does not mean you shouldn't be charged or you shouldn't go through the process. We recently, Mr. Wuntumi, Mr. Nchubo Siako, we understand he was sick, but the Yoko invited him, he was there. There's been cases where certificate was sick, was put on a sick bed, he was still tried. A lot of people have been sick over the years and they still went through the same process. So illness is not a shield from accountability. So wherever he is, he should avail himself. And then again, the way and manner Mr. Ofori-Atta is carrying himself, it is trying to send a signal that he is already guilty. We shouldn't be so. Therefore, they've already been invited to come around, answer certain questions. This is a procedure, this is a process that is done for every other person. Mr. Charles Bisu, Madam Cecilia Dapa, former President Mahama, and almost everyone else has gone through the same process. So what makes you different?
Right. Now, let's still stay on the statement, but finally, we saw that the OSP gave out some possible locations as to where he is. He listed the United Kingdom, the United States of America, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong. Now, people are crying and asking that if the OSP has a fair idea of his possible locations, why does he not go in there for that conversation or go and arrest him? Right. Unfortunately, but thank you so much for that conversation. We'll try and have an extended conversation with him later on and bring you updates. But that was Bright Ofori, the Executive Director of the Bright Future Alliance, speaking to us about the recent development with regards to the OSP and then Ken Ofori-Atta, where we know that he has been re-entered into the wanted list. And this is because he failed to meet the June 2nd deadline. You also heard him give us some breakdown or some roadmap as to where the story began in January 2025 through till now, June 2nd, 2025, where he has been re-entered into the wanted list by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I'll bring you updates with regards to that particular incident. But now let's still stay on the Office of the Special Prosecutor, as the OSP and the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, has reopened the case involving former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah following a fresh request from its new leadership. Now, the move is to allow EOCO to initiate investigations into aspects of the case that fall outside the OSP statutory jurisdiction. Now, according to the OSP, EOCO sought to return the docket for a review and possible action. In response, the OSP forwarded a duplicate docket on May 29, 2025, and pledged its full cooperation in EOCO's investigations, particularly into suspended money laundering and financial structuring. Now, here are highlights from the briefing from the OSP.
In January 2024, the OSP referred the case to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, for commencement of investigation into identified indications of suspected money laundering and structuring, which are under the direct mandate of EOCO. In May 2024, EOCO returned the entire docket back to the OSP on the back of their reasoning that since money laundering is not a substantive offense, but a collateral offense which must be founded on a predicate offense, EOCO did not have a mandate to commence investigations into the matter since it could not premise its investigation on any predicate offense. By a letter dated 14 May 2025, the new leadership of EOCO requested the OSP to forward the docket back to EOCO for a review and commencement of investigation. Under the cover of communication dated 29 May 2025, the OSP forwarded the duplicate docket of the case back to EOCO. It is our considered opinion that the docket serves as a valuable background resource for EOCO to commence its own investigation in respect of aspects of the case the OSP does not have a direct mandate. The OSP will lend its full collaborative support to EOCO in its review and investigation and probable further action.
Some other updates as the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Entry Bosianko, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, has been released from the EOCO and EOCO office after meeting his bail conditions yesterday. Now, Wontumi's legal team on Monday, June 2nd, formally withdrew a motion that sought a review of his 50 million Ghana cedi bail condition. Now, the motion, originally filed at the High Court in Accra on May 30, 2025, was slated for hearing on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Now, however, it was withdrawn a day earlier on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. He was granted bail on Wednesday, May 28, 2025, with 2 justified sureties. His legal team, led by Andy Apia-Kubi, confirmed that the bail conditions were fulfilled by Friday, May 30, 2025. Now, let's bring you some updates with regards to his release that was last night, where the Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodia-Frimpong, engaged the media, and here's what he had to say.
Etika Eyokofo can I say be adwemboni bi na tachi ana omo ka so komo to omo sa freche ma untumi akobeba sa kan nyina je yan ka se be omemo a obi bro emra so oh yeah ye nyina ye hye emra se sa na tie na so oh yeah dia sabi fa kumapa adwempa na eye ebra omo de che ma untumi ɛsɛ ɔmo kukuo mu 48 hours no na mmara so sɛ ɛsɛ ɔmo gyaa no ɛnam sɛ na ɔmo nyɛ ɔmo adwene sɛ ɔmo gyaa no nti ɔmo de bail conditioner esika kɛseɛ over 50 million Ghana cedis ɛna ɛto ne tiri so ne nyinaa ne sɛ na ɔmo sɛ ɛbɛyɛ den sɛ ɛbɛtumi sɛ ɛnya bail no nti ɔmo ma ne saa ɛda Iyoko ha na Nyankopɔn ɛnhyira Dr. Brian Echampong
Godfather.
And Onwa Edina Japadia Esia Owa said baby Aduno Afedi a year. The 2 o'clock baby at that. Want me share said they be a party for Mobaha. Na ya kwa na de Ewaha. Osi Sadia or the Japadia Siawa. Ampa no pa. Iyoko for Eko Nifie Nina Koshe. Okay. I do two Sampa Krata Nano Enedia. Yaba no, Nekin say a we. Okwasasa, Yeba, Yayan interrogation, Yakwa Basa, and they say Aboy Samri. Now, MPP party no, you catch and this yabai. Said I done me catch on me say and Mrewe Yaninkaso. Oh yes, oh yes. That's also. Yeah, say Mrapa na end this yabai person near camera and you must share your court. And now you go. Yes. Tia say almost want to near Bibia, your Franco court. The MPP, I bet say your lawyer for power, mamma. Yes, say your my Cassanwa, Momodo Donama Bejana if you are no part. Oh, yes. Beno Casa, Chama to me, or free her or cock. When you go ha, and Quali or Qua, so coffee, Aquatina home. And Quali, it's Bibia so Biano. Yabama Maswati.
They had the scribe of the secretary of the party of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodia Frimpong, detailing what happened yesterday, or giving us also a bigger perspective, or what the case against Wontumi is, where it started from and where it ended. Where we know that yesterday he was granted bail. We know he was granted bail sum of 50 million Ghana cedis on the 29th of May 2025. However, he wasn't able to meet bail conditions as of last week. Some appeals in terms of court applications to reduce the bail amount was sought. Was supposed to be heard today, but as of yesterday, those had been withdrawn. Those petitions had been withdrawn and led to his release yesterday at the Yoko head of quarters here in Accra. As always, we'll keep you updated on the trajectory of this conversation and the development in Ghana, especially after his release, his possible subsequent appearances before Iyoko in terms of questioning and investigations. We'll keep you updated on that. But now let's go to the presidency, where President John Dramani Mahama has expressed confidence in the Asante-Hene Otumfuo Osei II to help restore peace in Boko through his mediation efforts. Now, he commended the Asante-Hene for his successful leadership in resolving the 16-year-old Dagbon chieftaincy conflict, which brought a lasting peace to the area, and expressed hope that similar progress could be made in Boko under Otumfuo's guidance. Now, the president made these remarks when Asante-Hene led a delegation of eminent chiefs to pay a courtesy call to the president yesterday, Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Take a listen to the president.
Since your installment in April 1999, Your Majesty has distinguished yourself as a national icon of wisdom, of peace, and visionary leadership. You've consistently used your platform not only to uphold cultural heritage, but also to address the most urgent challenges facing our nation in education, in health, in justice, and above all, in peace. Among your greatest national contributions is your successful mediation of the long-standing Dagbon chieftaincy crisis. Through your steady hand and moral authority, as chair of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, you led Dagbon from years of painful division into an era of reconciliation and renewed leadership. Today, the Kingdom of Dagbon stands united and strong, thanks to your tireless commitment and your unifying spirit. Once again, at a critical time of our nation's history, You've stepped forward to assist our nation in another moment of great need. Your Majesty's ongoing efforts to mediate the Boko conflict, though complex and challenging, offer our country a renewed sense of hope. Through quiet diplomacy and cultural sensitivity and unwavering resolve, you are helping to pave the way towards enduring peace in one of the most fragile areas of our republic. I wish you well in this endeavor, and we all have confidence that lasting peace will come to Boko.
Now, a crisis is set to hit the Accra High Court as jurors at the Accra High Court have announced their withdrawal of their services effective yesterday, Monday, June 2nd, 2025, citing the non-payment of their allowances for the past 8 months. According to the group, several attempts to retrieve their payment have yielded no results. Despite formally notifying the acting Chief Justice of their intended absence, they said they have not received any concrete assurance regarding when the arrears will be settled. Now, Joshua Alogbe, spokesperson for the group, described the situation as a disregard for their welfare and financial security, emphasizing that without immediate payment, members cannot continue to show up for proceedings. Well, interesting developments coming in from the courts this morning. But that's all for the morning news here on the AM Club. My name is Augustine Adam Kobiti Saint. You know what to do. For more news and updates, it's either you join us online, it's MX24GH on all social media platforms, or MX24 News on Instagram, as well as MX24online.com, where you get the latest news and updates. Or you can join our new baby. That is our WhatsApp channel. Follow us at MX24GH on there as well. My name is Augustine Adam Kobiti Saint. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much, Augustine, for coming through. Interesting stories right there. Some of the comments that came through, I found very interesting, but I'm going to keep my reservations to myself. We're moving straight to sports right after this.
Visit www.mx24online.com for news, exclusive behind-the-scenes videos, up-to-the-minute sports updates, and the latest broken pen stories now. Experience more of MX24 Online. Visit mx24online.com today. MX24. Fun, fearless, and factual.
Grateful for sticking with us right here on MX24. Of course, this is the AM Club. Now, time for us to shift our attention to some sports updates right here on the show. Now, get ready to be rewarded as the next big sports betting influencer with Betway. Place bets. Share your codes with friends, family, whoever it is. Guess what? When you share your code with them and they decide to use your code to place bets, you definitely win a 4% wager. Doesn't matter if they are placing bets and they're winning or they're losing. Automatically, you win cash. The more people who use your code in placing bets, the more you're earning cash. So be a bet influencer, Betway influencer for today. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet the responsible way. Betway, get way more. Let's get to our first story. Nations FC defender Razak Simpson has been nominated for the 2025 Home-Based Footballer of the Year award at the upcoming Ghana Football Awards. Now, Simpson is part of a 5-man shortlist, which also includes winger Faisal Chawete and Brekum Chelsea forward Stephen Amankona, who currently tops the Ghana Premier League scoring charts with 15 goals. Also nominated are Samuel Atakumi of Bibiani Gold Stars and Rudolph Jr. Nanakwisi of Swedro All Blacks. The nominations celebrate the players' standout performances in the Ghana Premier League and Division 1 League during the 2024-2025 season. Now, away from that, after 7 years from international duty, Argentina captain Lionel Messi rejoined his national squad for training yesterday in preparation for the upcoming CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying matches against Chile and Colombia. Messi, 37 years of age, last represented the reigning World Cup champions in November 2024. A muscle injury subsequently sidelined him from the match doubleheader, a period during which Lionel Scaloni's team successfully secured their qualification for the next World Cup. We should have attention to some tennis right now. Novak Djokovic earned his 100th career French Open victory. Max surpassed among... to get rewarded as the next big sports betting influencer with Betway. Place bets and share your codes with friends, fans, and followers. If they place bets using your code, you earn 4% of their wager. Doesn't matter if they're winning or they're losing. If they bet, you earn cash. And the more people that bet with your code, the more you earn. Start betting, sharing, and winning with Bet Influencer. Exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet the responsible way. Betway, get way more. Now visit the MX24 app to catch up on all the fun and excitement of the AM Club shows, featuring engaging conversations, thrilling live segments, and exclusive content you cannot afford to miss.
Catch up with all the fun of breaking stories, sports, and business insights on mx24online.com. It's now time for entertainment, and we're getting into that right now.
Visit www.mx24online.com for news, exclusive behind-the-scenes videos, up-to-the-minute sports updates, and the latest broken pen stories now. Experience more of MX24 Online. Visit mx24online.com today. MX24. Fun, fearless, and factual.
morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Lifestyle and Entertainment News on the AM Club. My name is Afi Nuna. Hello.
Hey.
Good morning. How are you two?
We're good.
Good day.
What's in the world of entertainment?
A lot.
Right.
A lot. We've got some people saying they're the only rappers in Africa and beyond. We've got updates on Diddy's case.
Okay.
And we've got updates on Speed Darlington.
Speed?
Yeah, he has been talking and...
Yeah,
Hey.
talking
People
too
are
much.
happy.
Way too much.
Right, then let's get into the stories then.
All right. I'll first start off with Manifest as he sparks debates online saying there are only 2 rappers in Africa. Ghanaian rapper Manifest is stirring conversations again with a bold claim from his 2021 track Scorpion Flow. The lyric goes, "Only 2 rappers I know in Africa, me and nobody in particular." The line recently resurfaced after South African rapper Aries shared it on social media, sparking intense debate among fans and artists. While some see it as a classic Manifest confidence, others view it as a challenge to African rappers to step up. Meanwhile, Manifest is focused on his growth. His latest album, The New Road and Guava Trees, out now on Nasma's Appeal label, features big names like Kim Promise, The Caveman, and Aries himself. Whether this is a mic drop or motivation, one thing is clear. Manifest definitely knows how to get Africa talking. Guys, thoughts?
I mean, we haven't heard from him in a while. He's been releasing projects that a lot of people are not paying attention to for obvious reasons. And so, I mean, getting people... Jay would always say that controversies are part of entertainment and it makes the industry thrive or continue to be relevant. So, again, why not? Manifest is great. He's a great rapper, if you ask me. And I think...
Unya sharper, won't you?
Yeah. Intellectually...
Yeah, I mean...
Agree to him saying that there are only 2 African...
No, he was...
We're just saying that
he
he's
was
good.
playing with his lines. Although he was playing with his lines. I mean, if you go deep into it, he's bragging. That's what rap does. You need to brag. You need to let everybody know that you're that good. So he's saying that there are only 2 rappers in Africa. Only him. And him in particular.
He and no one
in particular. Hey!
Drop mic.
That's a bar. Like, we're killing Obia.
Drop mic. Stop.
Yeah. He's rhyming. He's giving you a reason to think. So you will now want to go and listen to Manifest to find out why he's saying that.
So and also it would put fire on the bosses of rappers.
Yes. Sarkodie is one person who knows how to really do that.
On the Sarkodie note, did you hear about Speed Darlington's oversharing on social media?
Oversharing?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
I personally don't think that he was playing like he came out to say or he was trying to stay in trend. I think he is actually a pedophile. And I think he should be.
He shock you?
I think he is a pedophile. Because right after the video of he saying that the guy was on social media talking about he just finished with a 15-year-old. Like, how is that even a joke? Then on top of it, before this video comes out, I think this will be 2 or 3 years ago, there was a mother who had dropped a video on social media talking about Speed Darlington had touched his house help who is 16 years old.
Oh.
This story is also and when this thing came out, obviously people didn't pay attention to it. But now that he has come to say this, the video is now coming out. And when this video came out the first time, I remember very well I was in Nigeria. And I said that this guy and a lot more people would do some of these things and sleep. If someone comes to put a video on social media and says that Speed Darlington, who is supposed to be a celebrity, has touched my 16-year-old, authorities have not picked him up. And we're quiet about it. He comes back a couple of years down the line and claims he just had sex with a 15-year-old. Are you angry? He's been doing this. He is a pedophile, and he should be treated as one.
Allegedly, please, we beg. for the
Well,
help for us.
Well,
So let me get into the story actually. Nigerian singer and social media personality Speed Darlington has responded to backlash over a viral video in which he appeared to admit to engaging in sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl. He now claims the video was intended purely for entertainment and to generate attention for his music, asserting that the events described were fictional. The video sparked public outrage and led to reports filed with Nigeria's National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. After initially ignoring an invitation from the agency, Speed Darlington has stated his willingness to appear before the agency at the end of June 2025. Why so far? At the end of June 2025, when did this video come out? If you claim you are innocent, why not go now? Well, maybe I'm talking from my emotions.
But when people say speed, I was thinking of a different speed.
Well, this is the speed we were talking about.
This one, I don't even know him.
Oh, he's a Nigerian musician.
Please put his picture up for us to see.
I don't know him. I thought it was the other speed. You know the other speed, right?
Other speed?
The Yankee speed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
You don't know that one?
No.
You two don't know the other speed. Me admit I don't know this one, so.
What is
which are your celebrities are?
Wait, minim no. Maintain the income that. Into okay speed, you know me feel say the other speed. I'm just being honest. Like I don't know about this one.
Anyway, I mean, that's Nigeria for you. If they want to really pursue this case, they will. I remember Ria Abdul was touching on this issue last week, and I was like, "Girl, I'm in your shoes. I'm angry. I am as angry because I don't know why."
So to date, he's not been picked up.
No,
he was invited, but he didn't go.
So that should let them know. I understand that.
Doesn't be picked up, and why they're trivializing the situation is my problem. Nigeria for you.
Oh boy.
Oh, well, Africa. Anyways, now to extra entertainment news. Entertainment beyond the sea. Updates on Diddy's trial. In the ongoing federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs, prosecutors called Sylvia Oken, a 17-year-old veteran and director of sales and marketing at Beverly Hills Hotel, to testify. Her testimony is expected to shed light on events related to the charges against Combs, which include sex trafficking, racketeering, and coercion for prostitution. The trial has featured testimonies from multiple witnesses, in case you are not updated on it, including former employees and associates, detailing alleged abuse and coercive behavior by Combs. Notably, ex-girlfriend Casey Ventura testified about being blackmailed into participating in drug-forward sex acts. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The trial, which began on May 12, is expected to continue for several more weeks as people continue to testify. And alleged evidence also come up.
I mean, beginning of this case, I was worried about how people were not showing up. Witnesses were, shying away from showing up. So this is total improvement for me. This is progress for me. Hopefully by the end of this case, which is going to be a long one, we get to see some of the, I mean, when you, again, it's in camera, the entire thing is in camera, so you're not able to tell, how the reactions are in court. But when you hear the reports, I mean, it's mind-blowing. Some of the testimonies that have come from the reports that we see online is just bizarre. And so I really, like most of the cases we have here, I really can't wait for the end of it to see where it goes. And so for me,
I feel this whole court case is going to be one long.
No, it's going to drag.
Because
we did say that.
If they are saying that these things happen at his parties or his gatherings, look at the number of people that attend parties.
But then again, I think a lot of people.
So there were two phases of Diddy parties. There's the party that everybody else comes to, that no sex, nothing crazy happens. and then there's the Didi after party, which is where they do up allegedly happens.
It happens.
Okay, so that's where it's purported that they have the sex things and all the drugs running around. Now, if you've been to a Didi party, does not mean you've been to the Didi party. Okay. Yeah, so there are faces to this, and which is why this case is very interesting to me. Daphne would always say that Mimi is sleeping on this case. I'm like, yeah. I mean, every single time I watch this case unfold, I feel like, why didn't I pursue law? Because I think it's interesting.
So that you go and defend people.
In that case, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Continue to stay with us throughout the week. We've got more in store for you. My name is Afi Nuna, and this was Entertainment and Lifestyle segment on the Coffee Daily segment.
Afi, thank you so much for coming in with the very best of entertainment right here on the show. Well, we'll move on. And yes, most definitely.
Today's dynamic business environment, a robust workforce is pivotal to achieving success, and this is why we at Equity Health Insurance have thoughtfully designed a corporate health insurance plan to empower your employees and bolster your organization's performance. With Equity Health Insurance, your investment transcends ordinary insurance. It represents a commitment to the future of your company. Our health plans are individually tailored to accommodate the unique needs of your employees, offering comprehensive coverage and exceptional benefits. Our support goes beyond administrative tasks and premiums. At Equity Health Insurance, we are dedicated to standing by your side throughout the entire journey. So please feel free to reach out to us on 050-1515-124 or 0539-135073 so that we can further enhance the level of service we provide to you. Equity Health Insurance, we say always here for you.
Well, Telecel Cash, your secure and convenient cash platform is still offering the lowest charges ever. Even better, sending money from Telecel Cash to Telecel Cash is still free on the Telecel Play app. So whether you're paying cash to your favorite people, what do you send it? Remember, you can make payment to all other networks anywhere cash transfer is accepted as a means of payment. Dial *110# or download the Telecel Play app today. Not send it. Telecel, making sure that happens. Well, that's about it for Coffee Daily right here on the show. Up next, we'll get straight into Lifestyle Daily. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Visit www.mx24online.com for news, exclusive behind-the-scenes videos, up-to-the-minute sports updates, and the latest stories now. Experience more of MX24 Online. Visit mx24online.com today. MX24. Fun, fearless, and factual.
Before I started this business, I had my second child, and I noticed that she wouldn't take just any other thing. But if it's a particular meal that she's attached to, that's all she takes until she's fed up. And so I thought of what can I do to make sure that the normal food that I give to the child and the child can stick to just one, I can make it more nutritious to be able to give all the things that the child needs. When I did it, the child liked it, and they were eating it, and it was a whole meal. They could eat it and eat and eat and eat. And I could give it to some mothers, and they testified that their kids loved it. So then we have to sell it. At Safe Haven Exclusive Foods, what we do is that we add value and nutritional solutions to our own legumes, fruits, vegetables, nuts, cereals, and then we produce them into cereal and legume mix that could be used for porridges, swallows, smoothies, for baking as well. You could add very hot water to it to take. In all of this, we are also looking to help smallholder farmers curb post-harvest losses and also to help them get a living out of what they do. The reason why we started this business is because there's a burning passion, a passion to make sure that we also contribute our quota to the economy, and also aside trying to profiteer. Another reason we exist and that we are hoping to make an impact is to be able to reach out to our pregnant mothers, to be able to reach out to lactating mothers. Reason is that most pregnant women suffer blood reduction, let me say anemia. Most of them need a lot of blood to be able to survive that journey. And so we are looking to give in not just a meal that is going to bring satisfaction to their tummies, but something that is also going to contribute to their overall health. So I realized that it wasn't a business that I had born out of trying to find something for my child to take, but it's something that will make the necessary impact. As we move forward, we realize that no, the impact doesn't necessarily have to also be with what people are consuming, but also the impact that we have on the environment.
When I gave birth to my last baby, she wasn't eating at all. So when I introduced the meals to her, the cereal to her, she loved it. She can eat it the whole day without eating any food. It really helped us because she wasn't growing well. She was somehow lean, but when started taking that one, we realized that there is a change.
I would not close my eyes on the fact that there's challenges. Getting consistent labor, getting people that are ready to commit to the vision that you have is also a challenge. So it looks like the people come, you help, train, let's do this, and then the next moment is that they are leaving. So you get another person and to start all over again.
I don't want to go. Why you are not Tom Brown? I feel I live on a hard chuchu boom. A much strong and good one. A name banana or call on a young Zazo.
It's been very tangible with regards to the financial benefits. At least you're able to buy things for your kids, you're able to buy things for yourself, you're able to assist with bill paying.
Well, share, I imagine Dogomo, to Toraka, Doma, a don't go in fine. A cook family agent, young Toha, go in Valley Fagdom.
The way forward for the business is to grow. Is to grow not only in production numbers, but to grow in people, to grow in impact, to grow in profits, and to grow in nation building.
I encourage other people to also patronize it because it's very good and very, very healthy.
What Ghana Grows is doing, trying to buy small businesses and then be able to encourage them in what they are doing so that they will be able to grow. I believe that is a very good initiative and it encourages the youth. If you really want to venture into the agribusiness, just do it. It starts from gradually like that, and before you realize, it becomes a viable business. At a point, you realize that it's good you started. Hi, my name's Gifty Dede Tetebaji, team lead and founder at Safe Haven Exclusive Foods. Ghana Grows Hope Day.
Grows Hope Day.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
Mini Ojo, from the connection man. The OPBR Meso too. Come. Mix Pacho Shabusu Kanka. Kukawi. See what kiosk number 22. That's all your brajo. Oh, that's so too. So around. Yes. Mommy, you show our unya so well. Hello. You show our uko boats. See what last stop. That's all your Sister Rose. Hold up. Sister Rose, Mr. No customer. So to the mommy. Also, unya so spot. See what cycle. Boys me. Nyanya walk up. You chill sound. Bro, I am out from 6 p.m. Shut. That's so too.
When we connect our energies, great things happen. Connect to a world of amazing and endless possibility with Telecel. Telecel, connecting lifestyle, connecting passions, connecting dreams.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Step into the world of fashion, where creativity meets innovation and beauty goes hand in hand with style. On Fashion Wednesday, we delve into the journeys of influential voices in the fashion and beauty industries here in Ghana. From emerging designers to seasoned professionals, their crafts and vision for fashion's future. Get the inside scoop on the latest trends, expert styling tips, and beauty hacks to elevate your look. Join me every week as we celebrate the art, the passion, and the people behind the scenes who make fashion more than what we just wear. This is Fashion Wednesday, where fashion comes to life. Catch Fashion Wednesday every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on MX24 TV.
Drama, betrayal, faith, forbidden love. What would you do when life writes a chapter you didn't have? Every broken pen has a story to tell. Every story has a lesson. But the question is, how do you fix it? The Broken Pen Show is back. Real stories, raw truths, and maybe, just maybe, the answers you've been looking for. Hi, ladies. Hi. Your story isn't over. Let's fix it together with a cold glass of Nax cocktail. Catch the Broken Pen Show every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on MX24 TV. My name is Yabita, and I am your host. Cheers.
Oh, good morning and welcome back to the AM Club right here on MX24. My name is Miriam Uduak-Mensah. This is the Lifestyle Daily segment of the show where we have big conversations, and this morning is no different. But before we get into that conversation, let's talk about something very important that I think for you, it's very important for you and your loved ones, and that is the Daching Apomudin coming from Equity Health Insurance. Now, your health is your greatest asset, and planning for future medical needs is essential. The Equity Future Health Plan is a long-term health savings and insurance solution designed to provide financial security for you and your loved ones, of course, for your future expenses or medical as well, with flexible contribution options. This plan ensures that you or your loved ones are covered in times of need. Now, whether it's routine checkups, specialized treatments, or emergency care, you can enjoy peace of mind knowing that your health care is secured. Now, by subscribing to the Future Health Plan, you gain a structured health savings fund, access to top-tier medical care, financial protection against unforeseen health expenses. Now, start planning your tomorrow today, okay? Contact us on 050-6607-910 or 050-996-9010 to enroll. Equity Health Insurance, we say always here for you. Now, With Jibu water, staying refreshed has never been easier. Jibu water provides clean, healthy water you can trust as your go-to source for drinking and cooking. With options of our innovative 20-liter bottles that come with a tap and 18.9-liter bottles, your dispensers will have a breath of new life. Our clean and hygienic Jibu water as they flow through them, okay? Your consumption, whether you need a cool drink to quench your thirst or fresh cooking will make your meals taste its best. Jibu water is the answer to your clean water needs. Now, order for your clean water today by calling us on 020-9845-817 or visit our website at www.jibuco.com/gh for more information about our brand. Jibu Water, a better life. Now, great news coming in from MX24. Are you smart, strategic, and sales savvy? Well, then MX24 wants you on our team. We're on the lookout for professionals and fresh graduates who are passionate about media sales and content monetization. Now, this is your chance to work in a fast-paced, creative environment where ideas turn into real impact. If you're ready to grow with a vibrant media brand, well, send in your CV via WhatsApp. That's 059-2292-746. That's 059-2292-746. Let's build something big together, with you. So please join us. Our team is ready to meet with you and work with you and, of course, grow with you. Now, for our big conversation, we're throwing a spotlight on June 3rd, 2015. Ghana experienced one of its most devastating disasters in modern history. A deadly combination of heavy rainfall and a gas station explosion in Accra led to the death of over 150 people. Flood waters overwhelmed drainage systems, trapping citizens and creating conditions for explosion that magnified the tragedy. So we are exploring our climate system during this time and how we can avoid such disasters moving forward. And of course, joining me for this conversation, I have Safo Dankwa, climate expert, youth adaptation trainer, and Godwin Doe, environment climate enthusiast, and he's going to be joining us via Zoom, and so he's going to be joining us digitally. Okay, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
How are you doing? Awesome. How are you feeling about, showing up this morning, talking about this thing all over again? What is the feeling like?
The feeling is, well, in one word, quite terrified in a way.
Terrifying?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it's
I didn't
almost
think
like,
that was going to be a word we were going to use this morning.
the reason is that I live by a principle that failure should be instructive. But it seems that almost every now and then, every year, Accra faces the same issue of floods, and which is quite saddening. Yeah, that as the years go by after this major disaster, claiming over 150 lives, we still experience the same thing. Then it means that there is something fundamentally wrong.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to Godwin. Godwin, good morning. I want to hear from you.
Hi, good morning. For me, the feeling this morning is kind of mixed because on the one end, it's quite terrifying, but on the other end, I'm quite optimistic that this discussion has been propelled and kept forth by your media outlet because people need to know, they need to understand, and they need to come into terms with the fundamentals. So I think this discussion is going to digest more into the fundamentals for us to dive more into best practices and also urge each and everyone on board to put their hands on deck for the greater good.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. Now, when this happened in 2015, a lot of conversations were had, and I was just telling my colleagues that I chanced on a write-up, which is a proceeding that happened in Parliament, and one of our ministers was addressing Mr. Speaker about what the organizations or the institutions that are supposed to make sure that these don't happen, what they're looking like in terms of capacity. Yeah. And so I'm going to take us through that, then we get into the conversation. Is that okay? Yes. Right, so I'm going to start from a point where I think is shorter. So, Mr. Speaker, this was a chance for NADMO, which is the entire situation, was a chance for NADMO to shine. In terms of curbing the entire situation, I'm going to go up a little bit. So Ghana lost about 200 people. Several individuals who survived the flood, fire disaster, lost their homes, properties, widows, widowers and orphans were on the rise. The entire nation was engulfed in grief. We cannot even ascertain the exact figure because days after the disaster, dead bodies were found. Yeah. Now, they came out bent beyond recognition and were found in drains and sewers. And these ones were not added to the numbers that, the 200 that, was purported. Now, he said that, Mr. Speaker, this was a chance for NADMO to shine. But that did not happen due to ill preparation towards response to disaster. Here's how the Center for Health System and Policy Research describes the incidents. At the scene, there were reports of confusion, inadequate information flow, and disputes of who was in charge and which regulatory body had failed in functioning effectively, therefore enabling to the crisis. Now, NADMO lost credibility during that season. And of course, trust from people. For as far as the media and the public were concerned, they promised relief items which, when delivered, were woefully inadequate to cater for the needs of the victims. Thankfully, there were other agencies and television stations, media houses, and all of that came through to support NADMO. Now, he also went ahead and said, Mr. Speaker, as a research authorized by Seth Bodovia emerged weeks after the disaster, the content clearly implied that our institutions are not functioning effectively, and NADMO as an organization failed in coordinating and collaborating with government agencies in managing the situation. First of all, you were not able to identify. You know what they say in PR, a good PR person is one that identifies risk before it shows up. Yeah. But NADMO couldn't do that. Right? They couldn't identify that this is after, people had done their research and come up like Mr. Podovia did. Years before this, he actually predicted the exact situation. NADMO didn't find the need to look into it if they ever came, across the material. Weeks after the disaster happened, of course, material comes out and it shows that there were indicators that showed that this was going to happen in no time. But NADMO wasn't adequate. I wanted to start from a point where during that season, when the thing happened like that, NADMO was seen to be vulnerable, didn't have adequate, resources to help curb the situation that they couldn't prevent. We're here in 2025 having the same conversation 10 years down the line. And the big question is, are we ready if ever faced with such a situation?
That's a mixture of a lot of answers to give.
Okay, tell me.
Because if we are to talk about even the very recent issue that happened at Mepe, when Akosombo Dam overflowed its banks, it was clear that there was no adaptation measures that were put in place, which led to flooding in the whole area. As a matter of fact, when NADMO came in, they were more reactive and then gave some items which, of course, they were not adequate, because if it was, we wouldn't have had other people coming in to support and media houses putting themselves together to even give them new settlement. So if we are to talk about NADMO, well, from my standpoint, I realize that there is some form of ill preparedness if it should happen again. I wouldn't really put all the blame on them, because they are an agency that ought to be given the necessary resources to work. Their institutional capacity, strengthening that same capacity. And so when issues like this happen, it just reveals what is actually in there. I heard this interesting quote. It says that when you feel in the day of adversity, it means that your strength is small. And so June 3rd clearly showed that we are still vulnerable. Ghana is vulnerable when it comes to climate change. The vulnerability is very high. On the other side, to feel a bit optimistic, I am aware that the Environmental Protection Authority is almost through with developing a very comprehensive and composite adaptation plans for Ghana. So not just as if we are looking at only flood-prone areas, but also looking at drought-prone areas. So all these are more comprehensive to attack the climate change impact that we experience, so that we don't have to just, since climate change is already here, we need to find solutions to live in that situation, to ensure that we don't feel the impact as it would have if there were no solutions. So that's a mixture I get. That there are policy directions, there are NGOs, CSOs that are taking some steps to help vulnerable communities to adapt. but we need it on a broader scale.
Yeah.
Yes, and if it is, if NADMO is given that strong institutional capacity, I think it will go a very long way, because they are the government agency that is responsible for taking care of disasters and all the risks like that. So
I want us to move away from this conversation and get into other, before we come back to it. But before I forget, NADMO is not supposed to be working independently if they don't have resources.
Exactly.
But it also looks like there's also the partnership vacuum there, where nobody is feeling, whether it's NADMO that is deciding not to partner or seek help, or it's just the other agencies that are not helping. I don't know where the problem is, but I guess we'll find answers to that. And I'm pretty sure you don't know it either.
No.
Clearly. Because we saw that happen.
Yeah.
Where they could have partnered with other agencies to make their job a little bit easier if you don't have resources. Well, what are the key ways climate change is affecting Ghana now? I mean, when you look at other places, we would say that the LA fire is part of it, but in Ghana right now, how is climate change affecting us?
In Ghana, I would say that climate change manifests itself either in drought or dry spells, and then floods. So excessive rainfall or erratic rainfall, and then no rainfall at all. And these are the two major manifestations of climate change. In the same way, you could have rise in temperature in such a way that it's so unbearable to even walk in the sun, which was quite interesting. I think 3 days ago, the sun just came out so hard, and then in just a split second,
it was raining.
So that is a clear indication that, yes, that's weather change, but it is as a result of climate change that such a switch comes into our weather, the weather that we experience. And so these are the two main things. In the southern parts, we experience a lot of rainfall and flooding and all those things. But when you go towards the northern side, it's quite interesting to see floods, but their droughts are devastating. Because just last year, they experienced this dry spell, I think for a month to two. Their farms got burnt. I was there in March, and it was quite appalling. I was thinking to myself that if I was staying in a place like this, how would I survive?
Yeah.
But they did. People survived in the dry spell. However they did it, I'm still asking and yet to find out how they did so. But I remember one thing that in an engagement, one of the persons said that one of the ways they adapted to it was to pray to God, and then the rains came down.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
So there's a spiritual aspect of it. There's a divine intervention as well.
Well, everyone has their own beliefs, yes. So,
yeah.
If it worked for him or her, then
that's what he believes in. That's his truth.
Exactly.
A very good friend of mine was telling me yesterday that, your truth is that this is happening to you. It's not going to be my truth. It's going to be your truth. True. And I don't have to believe your truth. It's you living it.
Exactly.
So that is their truth. And so they're living in it. Well, urbanization. How does this interact with climate risks like flooding and heat waves?
Well, this question is just taking me to it's taking me to a very far place. Urbanization started as a result of the modes of production that we found ourselves in, because we've always lived in a rural setting, hunting, gathering. Technology started evolving. People realized that, we need to live in clustered places. Industrialization started, Industrial Revolution, then inventions started, cars were being manufactured, oil was discovered. People wanted to move away from using chariots and horses. Let's use cars. So when that starts, then certain centers become clustered because resources become, so they say, is finite. So we need all the resources, so they come to one place. So urban centers begin to grow. Now, when that happens, those places that used to be rural settings that are evolving into urban settings start having the effect of human beings settling. So the environment is affected. So the trees, the biodiversity in those areas start to move away. And when that happens, a change in the environment means that it will cause a change in the climate and the weather. Because more trees for instance, in a place like the Amazon, means that's why it's even called the rainforest. Rains is just noted for rains.
Yeah.
So when you change a place like that, there's going to be erratic rainfall. It's going to disturb the whole ecosystem there. So urbanization now has this negative effect on the environment such that we experience extreme weather patterns, whether it's high temperatures, whether it's little or no rainfall when rain is supposed to come, and rain bombs, just like that, at any time. The Ghana Meteorological Agency can predict the weather, but then it can, so to speak, can swerve them because of urbanization. And that really affects us in a very great deal. But what we have to do is to ensure that we are adapting to it. So when you cut down a tree, you should ensure that you put it back. Do something, or else we can't suffer in the name of modernization or urbanization. You'll be building all the skyscrapers, developing as much as you can, and then you'll be encountering a challenge that will derail all the developmental gains that you've achieved. That's zero. Zero, yes. Then you shouldn't have done it at all.
Absolutely.
So that you understand that, okay, I'm at zero already. I don't need to go further and then come back to zero. Yeah.
Now, back to the conversation on June 3rd. Because we're talking climate change, let's relate it a little bit.
All right.
Do you think what happened on June 3rd, 2015, was as a result of poor planning, or that was also climate change?
June 3rd, where was I?
I remember where I was.
I think I was nowhere close circle, but it used to be one of the routes that I take when going to work. But that day, I just decided to stay indoors a bit. What happened at Circle on that day, I strongly believe is as a result of poor planning and then climate change as well. Poor planning in the sense that if it was the flood that occurred that day was also because that the gutters were choked, the drainage systems were not so properly constructed, they were not climate resilient enough, and the poor planning in the sense that Ghana still was putting itself together as to how to really capacitate itself when issues like that happen. Interestingly, it was in that same year that, in the climate change space, there are so many laws, agreements, treaties, and it was in that same year that the Conference of Parties, which we normally call COP, the 21st meeting was held, and it was settled down that there has to be a reduction of the global temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And adaptation was really made so strong. So you can imagine that if a country that is still developing and grappling with basic amenities gets hit by flood, it becomes very devastating. And on top of it, explosion happens. That's like a double disaster. It's just sad. So because of poor planning, this became very, very serious to us. I believe that if things were put in place to increase our capacity to adaptation, it would have reduced probably maybe the number of people who would have lost their lives, or maybe it would have been zero, but people probably would have gotten hurt because after all there was an explosion. So this is what I think really drove.
So it was both.
It was both. It was both. I mean, when we look at our planning system in Ghana, anybody can just erect a structure anywhere they feel like. When you are by the roadside, you know that where you are is the pavement, but it's been taken over by street vendors. You can't really do anything, because if you try anything, it will turn into a violent encounter, and you wouldn't want to also experience that. You know, the drainage systems are shallowly constructed. Sometimes there are no vents to allow the excess water on the road inside. And I've realized that on I think several sections on the road, which is actually destroying the road. So the roads are not even climate resilient.
Look at our roads.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I also noticed was that not only was there poor planning in terms of the structure of the country, that's part of town, but it was also poor planning from the filling station, the petrol station that caught fire, because I thought there was some sort of a standard in which like a fuel station can operate, where these are supposed to contain any extra pressure that is mounted on the facility.
Yeah.
So it's a fuel station. Anything can catch fire over there.
Yeah.
So they go for routine checkups. I think this would be a couple of years ago. I had a conversation with Vivo Energy, and they told me that they do these checkups like almost every other day.
Yeah.
So there was supposed to be some sort of a protection of the people that work in the system. So the negligence wasn't just about the country.
Yeah.
Because maybe the water could have taken people's lives.
Yeah.
Or worse or anything. But then the fire made it worse, like you rightly said. And which is, I mean, a few years down the line, just on that stretch, another fuel station is back there. I just wanted to chip that in. Well, in terms of, so I think last week, right, we saw the regional minister, the Greater Accra regional minister, on, a serious demolition exercise.
Yeah.
Some of which affected some of my friends. Charlie, guys, my heart goes out to you, man. I know how much you get. And again, I know that sometimes we just don't know that we cannot build in these areas.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, ignorance is not, an excuse.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, the Greater Accra regional minister might look like a bad person right now, but we're trying to help the country. When these actions are being taken, Ghanaians are not happy, of course, for obvious reasons.
Exactly.
But how do we redesign the infrastructure in this country? Are we even going to be able to do that? To redesign. So, for instance, when you go to places like UK, like there are certain places you cannot build. There are no new buildings.
Yeah.
They're maintaining old buildings and they are very well maintained.
Yes.
And there are certain areas you can never even build.
Exactly.
Now, we have a country where you can just, like you rightly said, wake up and build anywhere you want. Unless the government comes in and says that you cannot build it and come and break your building down. Until then, you are in waterway. How do we redesign? What is it? Let's recommend to government how we can redesign the infrastructure of this country to hold us, against some of these. Because we saw what happened last week. And in my area, it was bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't come out of my house until 6 a.m. because drivers are not seeing anything. They're not coming. And even when I was able to come out of my house, it was a long journey. I had to go through OEB to come to East Legon, when I could have just used Pantine and come here. So, there are these issues. How do we redesign our infrastructure to help us deal with some of these issues?
After sharing this my response, I think it's actually my CV to government as well.
Okay, they should employ you, right?
Yeah, that's just on a lighter note. But redesigning areas like this, it takes a lot of resources, not just financial, but you would have to do a lot of stakeholder consultation just to prevent the violence, just to prevent any uproar and allow peace to prevail. Like you rightly said, you said that ignorance of the law is no excuse. There's how many people know the law? There are so many people on the street that are not even aware of exactly the things that are in the 1992 Constitution. Myself, I'm not aware of everything. So I believe that the first thing that needs to really come on board, stakeholder consultation is good, but awareness creation is so important that we cannot take it out. Awareness, raising awareness on a constant basis. I think for a long time, we've seen climate change as a thing for the scientifics and the scientists. That it really does not bother us until a disaster occurs, and then it becomes, whoa, it's a disaster. And even if it's a disaster, people don't really even see that it is actually related to climate change. We need to understand that climate change is cross-cutting. It doesn't matter where you are. It's borderless. Even if you're not the one who caused the industrialization, it can affect you at any time. And so in redesigning infrastructure, I don't know how it's going to be done immediately, but it's going to be a snowball process, consultations upon consultations with custodians of the land, speaking to different agencies, different stakeholders, NGOs, people, public forums. That is important. But like I'm saying, when the awareness is increased on a consistent base, not stopping, increasing it, making sure that it's in schools, which I know that now the Environmental Protection Authority have incorporated climate change into the curriculum, so it's up to basic 1 to basic 6.
Okay, well.
But I believe that more can be done.
Can be done, yes.
More can be done, practically capacitating more of the teachers to increase the awareness. And apart from that, also making it very informal, even in the informal sector, so that when people are aware, they will act. But if they are not, they will feel like, I need to eat. My life is at stake. Livelihood is important. I need to do something to put myself in a very comfortable position. I don't have to remain vulnerable forever. I need to secure myself. I mean, many people have a lot of issues to think about more than climate change. Because, I mean, it seems abstract, but when it reveals itself into a disaster, then it's an opportunity for us to really take out of that situation and raise awareness in such a way that it just transcends and it keeps going on. I should believe and think that ever since June 3rd happened, there should have been consistent awareness raising, non-stop, on the radio, on TV, just going on. Even if it's just a minute ad, let it run, keep running. Because if it doesn't affect maybe a place that you are at, it can affect someone who needs to produce something for you, and now
you don't have that.
You don't have that. So prices hike up. When there is drought, I'm not a farmer, but I eat. You would have to pay for more with little.
Exactly.
And you can imagine what we are going through. So this is cross-cutting. It affects everybody. Already we have a lot of macroeconomical situations affecting us. And if climate change comes to
one of our problems, then
feels like icing on the cake. It just makes the whole situation very, very dire.
I know I introduced 2 guests, and you're expecting to hear from Godwin, but we lost Godwin on the line, and so we're going to be continuing the conversation here with Mr. Dankwa, and hopefully he joins us before we end the entire conversation. But now let's go to solutions, because we started with solutions in terms of infrastructure, but let's go to other solutions. What are the most effective climate strategies for Africa? Or African cities. Because note that just yesterday, we recorded 700 people dead in Nigeria, flood. You know, and so now we don't want to provide solutions for just Ghanaians, but we're looking outside Ghana, the African continents, the sub-regions. What could we possibly do in terms of this conversation? Again, I remember very well when this, and I keep forgetting her name, this little girl that started this whole climate change thing. Greta, thank you. I remember very well what Trump's response were, and how we saw this to be, this is not an African thing. They can deal with their stuff. But now we do know that it is a global phenomenon, and we cannot be left out. I mean, look at us. We're the ones suffering. We are the ones who don't have infrastructure. What are some of the strategies? What are some of the adaptations that could help the African continent?
Climate change is, like you said, is a global phenomenon. But then it has its own local specific issues it manifests in. That means that the solutions ought to be localized, context specific. It is true that Nigeria is absolutely different from Ghana, but then there is this homogeneity amongst us, whether we speak the same language or not. There is always going to be that homogeneous situation. But when you consider a place like flood-prone areas, sometimes flood-prone areas are prone to floods, not because it's in a valley or it's in a waterway. It is just because there is improper waste management. That is all. So if they could only recycle, reuse, repurpose, find a new life for the waste they produce, there'll be no floods. Because when the floods get into the drainage system, the water won't find any way but to find somewhere else to be, and it can go anywhere it wants because it's borderless. But when it has to do with some solutions, I believe that it's important we take note of solutions that are indigenous to us.
I mean, look at the screens. Look at what Accra looked like
on June 3rd.
Yes, and even beyond. I mean, it gets worse. Like, I mean, this is, I think this video, my producers let me know, this video is quite recent, this very one. Yeah, it's very recent. And I mean, it's heartbreaking that we have to keep dealing with this.
So when the roads are constructed, the drainages have to be deep. It has to be.
I remember this when I was in class 5.
Yeah.
What the benefits of deep drainages were in class 5. How we have government officials who don't know this, or contractors who don't invest in this. I am surprised.
It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. Sometimes, I think sometimes they see that it doesn't really have any economic benefit because it's like putting money into it and not seeing the returns. But then actually the benefit is that lives are not going to be lost because you need human beings in the line of production to ensure that your GDP rises up and then everything is better. But if people who are supposed to be doing this are losing their lives, then you just be running around in circles.
Finally, I was having a conversation last week with a friend, and he was telling me that the youth run the world now, and so some of the solutions that we need in this world or in this life must come from the youth, because the older people, they're done, they're just living. So what role can the youth play, especially in urban areas, play in fighting climate change in terms of the conversation and even actionable, solutions, right? What role can the youth play, and that's how we wrap up. You can add your final words to it so we can wrap up the conversation.
All right, so just as I find myself to be a young person, what I've done so far is that I gained interest in this. I've not been affected by any of these directly, but indirectly, it drains my pocket. Yeah. So I took interest in it, I learned, I got trained, self-trained myself, and I started becoming proactive. Proactive in the sense that you need to intentionally lead solutions, innovatively create the solutions and lead them. So in that sense, I saw that what I can do is to educate children. And that's what I've been doing for some time now. I took it upon myself, training adaptation, and I train young people on adaptation as well. I took it upon myself. I did a monitoring project for a project that is to come very soon. I think in Kumasi, moving from Ejeso to Ibuakwa, they want to expand the road. But then seeing how vulnerable our roads are to climate change, we did that assessment and we realized that it has to be climate resilient. Those roads need to be climate resilient. And the findings have been put together. Still looking forward to influencing policy through advocacy. And that's what I think some young people can do. As a matter of fact, everybody cannot be at the policy level, but then if you have the technical skills to invent things, to create things, I mean, you can absolutely do that. It doesn't have to be just a few people doing it. It cuts across, whether you're an architect, whether you're a contractor, you can create climate resilient stuff, and that's the added value actually, because the mundane things has been done for a long while, but then when you bring the added value and then something that gives you a unique selling proposition, then people become aware of it. Then that's how people get attracted, and then I mean you can make it can even become a job opportunity, huge one. It's crazy.
I mean, what's business? It's finding solutions. Exactly. It's a problem. So if you find a great solution to this very big problem, then you get to cash out.
Yes, because climate change is a problem. So actually, it's terrifying, but I see it as an opportunity. Yes, and in my line of work, let me add this to it too. From the organization that I work with, Strategic Youth Network for Development, we led the process to develop the youth adaptation strategy in partnership with the Environmental Protection Authority and then Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies at the University of Ghana. And when we were done, we just saw how this global problem opportunity, climate change, can actually provide job opportunities for a lot of young people. It's just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing, just mind-blowing. We look forward to more engagements to let more young people know about this.
Yes, and I think more institutions should invite you to have conversations with you regarding this. How do we connect with you if someone wanted to connect with you to teach their young ones how to, communicate this?
should I say, I have a room on social media.
Okay.
Yeah, my room number is Safo Dankwa. Or room name is Safo Dankwa on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Safo Dan on X.
Okay.
Safo_Dankwa on Instagram and Safo Dankwa on Facebook.
Okay.
These are the main.
When we slide into your DM, you respond?
Yes, if you slide into my DM, I'll respond.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to share any numbers. Please, social media is okay. Please connect with him. Safo Dankwa, he's a climate expert, youth adaptation trainer. He joined us to talk about June 3rd in retrospection. What are we doing? I think with his some of the solutions he provided, we definitely have learned, and I keep telling that we are learning and growing together, and we're growing as a country together. Okay. Again, my name is Miriam Uduak-Mensah. Moving straight to the plug right after this. The sound that you have done.
Michael has been exceptional, surpassed all his targets. Let's hear from this year's Staff of the Year.
This wouldn't be possible without a strong relationship. You've been with me through university. All those days of studying together just to ace those tests, which we did, by the way. And those days of the side hustles, you were there. All of these have prepared me for this moment. Cowbell Coffee has been there with me every single step of the way.
For the big days and the seemingly ordinary, creamy Cowbell Coffee is with you every moment.
Hi, my name is Ruki. I'm a TV host and a self-styled chef. Cooking is my ultimate passion, and it's something I would say is my calling. Now, for those who cook a lot like me, there's one fact they always state. Ingredients decide how tasty your food is. And for me, the game-changing ingredients is water. Tap water at the moment is not the best option considering what's going on in the country. Also, such as water can taste weird and produce too much waste, so it's a no-no for me. My number one choice for cooking is Jibu water. Cooking with Jibu water enhances the flavor of your food. And it's not just that. Unlike other brands where you have to pour it from a heavy bottle, the 20-liter dispenser bottle comes with a tap that makes things so easy. So you see how simple it is with Jibu? Cooking with Jibu gives you big flavors and great taste without all the stress. Remember to cook with Jibu.
Jibu, transforming opportunity to thrive.
Welcome to Deluxe Experience, your trusted partner in creating unforgettable events. From breathtaking stage designs to dazzling lighting solutions, we bring your vision to life with precision and creativity. Our expert event planning and consultation services ensure every detail is taken care of so you can enjoy a stress-free experience. Capture every moment with our professional photography, videography, and live streaming services because every memory deserves to be cherished. Transform your event venues into a masterpiece with our exquisite interior lighting and permanent designs tailored to suit your style and theme. At Deluxe, we don't just create experiences. Let's make your next event extraordinary. Deluxe Experience Ghana. Think events, think Deluxe. Contact us today on 0267 83 7006 or 0545 03 8620 and 0545 03 7520. Deluxe Experience Ghana. Think events, think Deluxe.
For a moment, I thought I was about to rap because I just love what I just saw, man. Amazing things happening. Yes, most definitely. You're welcome back to the AM Club. It's time for us to plug in, and you know when we're plugging, we've got great conversations coming through. Now we're discussing this thing there. It be very, 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 very necessary. Mental health, and especially when it comes to the modern man. Wellness for the modern man, beyond the hustle, mental wellness. Joining us for the conversation for today, we've got Dennis Ni Edu Ashiano. Did I get it right?
Yeah, Ashiano.
It's Ashiano.
Yeah.
All right. He's not new to us because even in the whole trailer, we did inside somewhere. So me, I see the background. This background, if you see him, you see him, man. Anyways, Dennis, welcome to the show. He's creative motion designer, brand strategist, mental health advocate from Reach Next. Good morning. Good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
And you were saying that somebody tell you, say, I
get some money, be the one taking me.
Then we could talk about the money because the money, they hear.
I tell you.
Especially when it comes to money, man, and wellness.
Yeah.
It be like if we don't get money, then it affect when our brain small.
Yeah, it affects everything apart from your brain. It affects everything around you and everybody around you.
Yeah.
Money actually changes a lot of things.
Yeah.
But people actually forget that apart from money, there are other things that contribute to actually make a man.
Yeah.
A man. Yeah.
Why has this become something very important for us to talk about?
Mental health.
Yes. I
think it has actually been a topic that we are supposed to talk about for a very long time. But in other parts of the world, they've taken it as something that they talk about each and every day.
Yeah.
But here, especially where we find ourselves in this part of, let's say in Ghana, people actually frown on it. People don't embrace or talk. They actually, let me say, they look down on it.
Yeah.
People don't really take into perspective when it comes to men's mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health in general is very, very important.
Yeah.
But this time around, I think men need to talk about men's mental health.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, you know, for a generation, men's mental health play a key role. A man plays different role in different sphere in our lives. And for example, you have a man who is playing a role as a father, a man who is playing a role as somebody who is working at a company, a man who is also a student at some point, a man who is collectively taking care of a lot of responsibilities. Such a person's mental health needs to put into consideration. What he does, how he does it, who he involves himself in. At the end of the day, for the person to be able to become a very responsible or important person in our community, we need to ask ourselves, so how is this person going about? What is he doing? How can we make sure that he is who he is so that for a long run, he can be able to take care of himself and his family?
Yeah. All right. This is not the first.
Sure.
Is this the second?
This is actually the second.
Is the second?
Yes.
Okay. So this time around, why are we saying make we talk? Is it that men don't like talking?
Yeah. The previous we said say it.
Okay.
Yes.
Did they say it?
Oh, a couple of them said it.
Okay.
Actually, when I started, most of the guys around was like, Charlie, what you are doing is too feminine. Like, and most of the guys we approached, I remember we did a flash mob in the cities of Accra. And most of the men that we approached were like, Charlie, this thing, I can't say it. If I say it, people will think I'm soft. And that's actually where we are targeting. For people not to think you are soft. Because you being emotional or being vulnerable is not a weakness. It's actually a strength that we must embrace. So people are like, oh, nah.
I want to catch you.
Sure.
But with respect to what you just mentioned, what can we purposely do for us to embrace that, speaking up is a strength and not a weakness? Because it looks like everything starts with the mind. But then when we want to talk, but we feel that if we are going to talk or spill out some things, people around us are going to judge us for whatever it is. So what can we do collectively that we can erase that canker, at least erase it totally?
Okay, I like the word you use, collectively. It's a collective responsibility, not for one person. When we started, I mentioned something, and I mentioned different sphere of a man's life.
it starts from the community, because there's a kind of tag on a man's emotion that, okay, when you speak, you are soft. But the community needs to have an open discussion when it comes to man's mental health. When a man walks up to somebody and opens up to the person shouldn't be like, oh, Charlie, so there's a limit at which a man can open up.
Yeah.
And when that space is open, we need to let that person know that, okay, you can be helped. Because, you know, a lot of men don't like speaking. They don't like asking for help. But when you are the type of person who knows when to ask for help, it shows that you are strong. Because actually, you know, when you are able to ask for help, it shows that you know that, okay, I've gotten to a certain limit where I need people to come in for me. And when you ask for help, you'll be helped. But sometimes, unfortunately, men open up to some people who don't really come in for them. And because of the fear of disappointment, disgrace, they fell into huge distress and they don't want to open up and they coil in. And there's a huge crisis on silence. And this silence is what keeps them like at one corner and they don't want to come and open up to you. So I prefer to say it and not, I prefer to keep quiet and not say it, which is bad. And I think secondly is stigma. Stigma, especially, you know, as people go through their stress, a lot of men even don't know that they are having mental health disorders, which could be depression, it could be stress and all that. We have severe and chronic depression that men go through. And immediately you mention, oh, you have mental issue, people be like, oh, okay. But is it, there are levels to it. It's different. We don't need to put a stigma on it, which I think is very, very bad.